keep your head down, stay focused and consistent, and then just drown out that noise, regardless of what you're hearing about the market or what you see on the news, because there's always someone out there buying and selling in real estate. And then you can be the person that is the go-to person for them.
Welcome back to the Full Out Real Estate Agent. Today, we're speaking with Krista Lapp. So Krista has a fairly high average sale price. Her average sale price is $1 million. Her market that she works is in Coquitlam, so in the BC area, in BC, so from a province standpoint. She has 2 agents working with her on her team, 2 admin. 118 ends in 2025, so 126 million in sales volume. She works with Royal LePage, one of the top agents in the company. I asked her what she really stands out in, or one of the things that's made her really successful. And she said one of the things is consistency. So really looking forward to the conversation. Krista, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mark. Happy to be here.
So Krista, can you share a little bit about your backstory? I know that you were in web development and social media as your backstory, but what actually got you into real estate? And maybe you could share a little bit more about yourself at the beginning.
Absolutely. It's 2 very different types of businesses, right? So a lot of people do ask that question and wonder how that transition even happened. And it really came down to, I loved what I did. There was a piece of sort of that like social aspect and getting out to actually meeting people and helping people missing. And it all came from, it was a friend of mine where we were CrossFit friends. We did CrossFit and she always talked about real estate. And then I was always intrigued, but I thought, well, the timing's not now, maybe down the road. And she ended up moving to another city and asked if I could help or join her team and really look into jumping into real estate. And that's exactly what I did and really just dove with 2 feet in, embraced the entire process of learning. And then she took me on, she mentored me and jumped right into real estate and never looked back. And that was in 2016.
2016. So can you believe we're in 2026 now? So 10 years. So when you jumped in, what was it that got you your start when it came down to generating new business? Like, what did you do to be able to, we'll say, start to have income coming in? Because that's a big concern for a lot of agents when they start, how they get business.
Absolutely. And I think what helped was understanding and recognizing that day 1, you're not going to make any money, maybe even day 30. It took me 2 months before I got my first sale. And we all know from that 2 months, that closing is another 2 to 3 months away. And so what it was is, so I had the support from my husband, Josh, from the financial side that helped right with the household. But then it was laying out a plan with my mentor, and it was breaking down activities daily to understand what to do to generate leads, generate relationships, which ultimately turn into getting contracts, getting sales, getting listings.
Right on. So what were the activities? How did you generate your first few sales? What was it? Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
So I was actually, this is where it comes down to consistency and being committed to it's the craft, right? So really kind of stepping back and first looking at, okay, well, what kind of agent do I want to be? What kind of business do I want to build? And then breaking it down in terms of, well, you have to meet people, and how are you going to meet people? And so then looking at sort of the income generating activities and writing out, it was like a dozen that I wrote out in terms of like what can create meeting people and present that opportunity to have conversations. And then I picked a handful that I really enjoyed doing and thought that I did well. And that was consistent with open houses. So every single weekend I was running 2 to 4 open houses. And that continued up until about a couple of years ago. So open houses were a huge thing. And then door knocking. So I picked an area where we live in Burke Mountain and consistently doing the door knocking. So people became familiar with me and being that person to provide information. I did cold calling a little bit as well. And then I would piggyback the door knocking for giving information and value to people, but also piggyback it with the open houses. And then when a property sold in the neighborhood, and then I threw cold calling in there as well. Didn't love it, but I just thought I need to try different sort of activities and see what stuck for me, what I would stay consistent with, and what produced results.
Krista, that was so smart how you broke down the activities. You wrote it down and then you actually took action on it. And it came down to having conversations.
Mhm.
If I could summarize that's gold for new agents. It's like, how do I get business? Okay, we got to have conversations first. Okay, how do you have conversations? Is write them all down and then just start doing them on a daily basis. So here's a follow-up question.
Mhm.
When you're brand new, you're getting going, you had a coach that really helped kind of break this down. You had a coach. Was there a particular way that you reached out for advice, or was that something that was it somebody in your brokerage that helped you do that, or was that just something you did on your own?
So it was a combination of my mentor, and then I also did have an external coach as well. And then I really dove into the education side. So, like, it was incorporated into my daily routine of getting information, whether it was from podcasts or YouTube, and just hearing other agents, like just like what you provide with your podcast, and hearing what other successful agents do, and then starting to incorporate that into my business model and my plan and daily activities.
So, Krista, this, an agent can hear this and then not take any action on it. So, what was
Mhm.
it that helped you wake up every day and know this is an important thing and to keep it front and center as an important task that you had to get done and then to actually follow through and do it? Is there anything that, like, why do you think you did that where other agents just don't get around to doing it? And what advice would you have for the agents to actually do more of the things that you did and when you started and currently?
The biggest thing that helped me, because when you look at, oh, okay, say you're a new agent and you want to sell like 2 or 3 properties a month, or you want to sell $100,000 a year, you have to break it down, because if you're starting brand new and say, I want to make 100,000, that seems unachievable unless you knew how to create that in another business and you bring skill set over. So what I did that was extremely helpful and valuable was I broke it down to, what does that look like in a month? And what does that look like in a week? And then I actually had this massive whiteboard in my office, and it would say the month, and I would have in there, okay, door knocking, and I would have little boxes that I would physically check off every time I did plan to do door knocking X number of times a week. Adding this number of people to my database, adding this number of people to receive my newsletter, this many buyer leads, this many seller leads, this many sales. So I felt very accomplished when I had it broken down to a month, broken down to a week, and then I knew every single day what I was trying to achieve. And then the actual checking off that you're accomplishing something, it feels great, because those are the activities that you might not see any result from them in the immediate, but they compound. And then 2 months later, that person you door knocked is calling you to list their place.
Okay, so there are a few gold nuggets there, Krista, that you dropped. First off, Earl Nightingale had a really good quote on his definition of success, and success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal or goal, right? So it's that progressive movement towards it. And you said something like you feel really good when and accomplished when you're checking it off.
Mhm.
But one of the things that you did that was so smart is you put it up on your whiteboard and you like it's in front of you. So it's not like you forget about it. And I think that's where a lot of maybe, some agents don't get it right is they think about it, they watch it, but then they don't have it front and center when they wake up. It's there staring at them, reminding. And then the other part of it, I call like the truth teller rule, where tracking is so powerful. It's like at the end of the month, what did I actually do to be successful here? What were the
Mhm.
activities that I actually did? Because one of the things that I see the biggest disconnects, I'd say is top two anyways, is number one is there's a disconnect between what agents think they've done compared to what they've actually done. It's like, yeah, I work 60 hours a week, but then when you start to track, they track their time for for 2
Mhm.
weeks, you realize like they're doing more busy work. Maybe they're at the office, but they're not actually working that amount of time. So what you did was really good of breaking it down to simple. You took a big goal, broke it down, and you simplified it. You put it up on the whiteboard so that you couldn't forget it, and then you tracked it. I think if agents just replicated what you've done there, I think they're going to have a much higher success rate than somebody coming in not doing those three things.
Mhm. And it's interesting what you touch on about, okay, so your daily activities, and are you achieving anything? Are you creating for your business? Because it's so easy to, oh, I'm going to do a post on social media, and next thing you know, it's 2 hours later, and you've done nothing, right? So for me as well with those items, when I was a new agent, it was about getting the hard things done first, the uncomfortable things done first. And that was rain or shine, it was door knocking, right? And did I want to do it when it's raining? No. Did my feet hurt? And there's hills, and but you just get it done, and that there's a lot of satisfaction there. And there's also a lot of people where they see those efforts because agents don't put in the efforts, right? And they see that, and that differentiates you from the majority of agents out there.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so you've generated a lead now. Okay, so you've done all those activities, you started conversations. What do you do now that helps you take it from like a conversation to actually booking an appointment? So whether it's a buyer or seller appointment, is there anything you say to be able to help convert or transition them to saying, "Hey, listen, let's have a conversation about real estate."
So I think what I do now is a little bit different, just given my position in real estate and what I sell. But going back as a new agent, because you have no clients, you have no business, there's not really any credibility there. And so what I would do, and I found that most of my success did come from the consistency with the door knocking because there was familiarity, and then the open houses. And so I would say, so give an example for open house. People are coming into your property. Why? They have real estate on their mind. They're interested in either buying or selling, or they need information. And so that's what it came down to. It was having a brief conversation at open house. It was never about trying to sell somebody right there on you, but it's collecting their information, doing that phone call. Oh, yes, we're thinking about selling. We're not really serious right now. We're looking maybe in 6 months to a year. Okay, perfect. Can I get you information about what is happening in your community, in your complex, in your neighborhood? I can let you know when your neighbor lists. I can let you know when two streets over what they sell for, what the market's doing. And so with my follow-up, it was very, and because I didn't have a lot of leads at the time, like they're slowly coming in, all my follow-up was very personalized. So there was no drip campaign or no mass emails like generic. It was very specific to that specific
Hmm.
lead. So it included information just like within their community and within their neighborhood, interest rate announcements, which can be generic, but they felt taken care of. They felt informed. They thought that I was the knowledgeable one. They could trust me, and that's how the relationship began. And then from there, it was okay. We're getting more serious about looking for selling our property, purchasing a new home. Okay, perfect. Let me come over, share more about how I can support you, give you information, answer any questions. And then that's how the appointment would be booked. And that would go for any prospect. That would be the process.
So good. I love that you have an approach or a process for everybody, and it's the same, and it's like it's adding value regardless of where they're at in the cycle, right? And there's we'll say there's a mindset out there in a certain segment of the industry where it's like, I'm not going to spend any time until you're ready today, and
Right.
it's like I'm definitely more on the spectrum of add value, 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 value. Because I mean, there's a lot of leads are 6 to 12 months down the road. We've had some leads where we're following up with 2 to 3 years, and it was like, okay, I'm ready now. But and then like people are like, well, that's a lot of time that you're spending. But when you average all of them out, sometimes that lead could have converted within a month, or it could have been 6 months. The thing is, if you stop after 6 months of following up and adding value and consistency with that, then you could have missed it by a month, right? So you got to stay with it. But overall, if you have a consistent approach, like adding value that you were doing and do, then overall the average is actually, it's a very productive, we'll call it activity, to take that mindset and that approach of adding value and giving, and people, even if they don't sell or buy, this is like not even talked about a lot, is that they know 200 people. And even if they're not looking to buy or sell, your name will probably come up in a conversation. And that's where referrals can come in. I would imagine you get a lot of referrals as well.
Exactly. Yeah, and the consistency part is it's so valid. I have this one client that I sold. It was actually her mom's property, but I door knocked this lady for years, and she was elderly and didn't use a computer. So I actually took the time to print off all of the listings and all of the sales, and I dropped those off. And I drop them off every month. And sometimes I'd catch her at home, sometimes I wouldn't. And then I would never catch her at home anymore. It turned out she passed away, but she left a note with all of my real estate like listings saying that when her house is sold, she wants me to be
Oh,
hired. So like,
oh, so good. Oh, that's such
mhm.
a good story. Sorry, keep going. I didn't want to cut you there.
Yeah, and that's I mean, that's the power of being consistent, and exactly what you're saying, you never know when someone's in the position to sell or buy. One of our clients that purchased last year, she was one of the first houses that I door knocked, and then we just became friends. We're friends on Instagram. She tags me in all her contests and her posts. She sold her townhouse and bought a beautiful house last year with her husband, but that was like 7, 8 no, more than that. Like, it was years and years in the making, right? That relationship, and I never gave up and always created value, no pressure from my side.
Yeah, it's the reason why I kind of chuckle with that. I mean, obviously she passed away. That's very sad. But where the chuckle came in from was that you made such an impact that she left a note. And I mean, maybe she didn't even have a will, but she left a note because there was such a strong reciprocity
Mhm.
need to be able to give back because you deposited so much in that relationship. So she wanted to make sure that you were going to be looked after and paid back for the work that you're doing. And that's where it takes grittiness and consistency, like you've done it. But you've obviously made an impact, and I think that this is such a there's something deeper here. It's like there's a genuine love of people. If it's non-transactional, if it's like I genuinely want to add value to you. And so when you're thinking like that, eventually it'll come back to you, but you're not thinking about getting something back. You're thinking about value that, and eventually you know that it'll come back to you, but that's not why you're doing it. And people can feel that. That's where I would imagine from, just our short conversation here, the people that are receiving this from you, it's like coming from a genuine, I want to help you. And the conversion rate would be a lot higher than, oh, here, I'm giving you something. When are you going to sell? Because I want something back.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, that's always been my approach, and when you come from a place where you are giving and obviously from like the paycheck side, it's extremely rewarding. But if you step back and look at somebody actually wanting to work with you to hire you for one of the most important decisions of their life, how you have to be so grateful for that, right? And I'm extremely appreciative. And I think when you go with new agents as well, there's sort of a little bit of mindset shift there that is needed because everyone's eager for a paycheck when they first start, right? But it's a long term game, and it will pay off if people can see that you're genuine, you have their best interests.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that long-term perspective is so critical yeah, I look back through the years of the number of times people reached out and said, hey, I'm not looking to sell now, but I just want opinion and value. I mean, I'm going through a separation, or I'm just looking for, I just want to compare versus the appraisal I got from doing a refi. Or we went and just delivered like a huge amount of value, showed them exactly what we would do if in the future if they were to sell, and went through everything and delivered and didn't take anything for it, no charge.
Mhm. Right.
Like that again, I talked about reciprocity. Robert Cialdini wrote this book, Influence, and one of his main principles there is the rule of reciprocity. And so it's like, when somebody gives you something, uh, it's like you have a need to want to pay them back. Right. And I think that's where when you're delivering value coming from this, like, I genuinely want to help you, and you give, people have this like deep human need to want to give back. And the other thing is you become the convenient option as well. It's like when they're thinking about buying or selling, it's like, oh, Krista, yeah, she dropped
Mhm.
off listings again. And it's like, well, we have to go. This is the
Right.
conversation that they're having. It's like, maybe we should call this person. It's like, I'm seeing their flyers coming. It's like, yeah, but Krista's been dropping off these listings for
Mhm.
the last like 2 years. Like, we have to give it to Chris. They wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Right.
That's
So
right.
I love your approach. All right. So That's really good. I think that point right there, if agents really change their business, their approach coming from that, I think that they would see an uptick in conversions as a natural byproduct. So let's talk about now an appointment. So do you have a process or is there a presentation that you have when you meet with buyers? And is that any different than your listing presentation to take that face-to-face meeting to a signed client? Is there a process or presentation that you follow? And maybe you could talk a little bit about those two sides.
So for the buyer side, if someone reaches out or it's been a lead that I've been working like potentially or working like communicating with to achieve that commitment to work together, there's a lot of conversations that happen, and I like to sort of have a high level conversation on the phone about, okay, just generally tell me about what are you looking for, what's your budget, where are you in the process, and then I like that in person meeting. If they're from out of town, then it's a video call, but it's really about, okay, not giving everything away on a phone conversation, and it's meeting in person, and one, it's to see if you're a good fit from them from your side, because you can be selective as to who you want to work with as well. And then two, it's obviously for them to see if you're a good fit for them. And at that point, it's about providing information. And I do have a very structured approach when it comes to meeting with buyers and understanding, one, budget, two, where are they in the process? What do they need help with in terms of referrals for? Do they need a mortgage broker? And then it's going over the whole process from, okay, this is how we work together. These are the tools that you're going to get from me. We're going to set you up with a search. I'm proactive in terms of being hands-on. Now, we have Brooklyn, who works with us as well, who helps us with some of the buyers, but obviously started off as a solo agent. So it was myself in direct communication, let them know, I keep them educated on what's happening in the market and really how to approach an offer and what to expect with that. And then it's getting all their questions answered. And then usually once I've booked that in-person appointment, it's rare that it is they need to decide if they're going to work with me. They're usually already committed, and it's more just kind of like finalizing that we are a good fit. And then from there, it's about just executing everything I said, getting the search set up, private showings, open houses, attending them. And then once we get their offer, obviously once we write an offer, going through that process.
Yeah, that's great. And I love how, process, and you could see you were probably visually, like mentally going through the process of everything that you do. And I think so for all the listeners there, what I'd suggest is when you're going into a buyer or seller appointment to actually write down the things that you're doing, like the steps, how Krista, how you just went through each of the steps. There's like to actually write on a piece of paper, okay, I'm doing this, and this. And then every time you go on an appointment, you look at that and then you look back and say, okay, is this did this work well here? Should I move it here, there? And actually get a process written down so that later you can objectively look back on it and consistently improve it and polish it. And eventually what happens is you get to the point of mastery where it's like the sixth sense, where you can start to uh, we'll say, read the things that the seller's not actually telling you because you're not thinking about what you're going to say next. You have a process that's handling, and you pre-handle a lot of the objections that come up with this
Mhm.
process. So you're going on buyer and seller appointments. It's like getting very clear. Here are all the steps, and then being able to execute consistently is what allows you to objectively look back and improve. And that's what creates mastery over time and higher conversion rates.
Exactly. The seller's a little bit of a different approach. And for the seller, because when you're new, you're competing, right? And so how it will work with a seller is there's that initial phone call, again, high level, understanding their objectives, timeline. And then right away, it's a great chatting with you. And then send off information about how I work with clients to market and sell their home. And then there's some media examples, some track record examples, some here's my commitment to you, just so they have something sort of tangible that they can look at. And then that appointment is booked. And then I do have a listing presentation that I bring with me along with stats. I never actually, unless it's like a cookie cutter type property, I never bring a comparable market analysis. And I just go in. I do have sales that have sold within the area that seem to be comparable. But then at that meeting, it's all about understanding what they're looking for, what their plans are, how I can bring everything together, what the process is. The biggest thing right now is educating people, whether it's a buyer or seller, on what the market's doing so that you can manage their expectations. And then post meeting, then I run my numbers and do a comparable market analysis and send that off. So it's a more formal document for them.
Do you talk price at all when you're there initially? Do you get an understanding of what they're looking for? Do you when you follow up, or do you just follow up with an email, send off what you think, and then is that a follow up phone call to get their insights or thoughts on that, or what's the back half of what the CMA process look like?
I always know rough numbers when I'm going there because I mean I know the areas, the communities have the data through our systems as well, but it's more about, oh, okay, is there features about the home that I wasn't aware of that are going to highly impact value? And so I will give them rough numbers when I'm there, but then I say, I'm going to fine tune this and I'm going to give you comparable market analysis. I'm going to let you know where I think listing price or price range should be and where I think you'll end up with an offer amount. And so I send that off and I usually give them a day or two and then follow up with a phone call.
Yeah, right on. Okay, so you've converted them, so they've come on, said, "Yep, Krista, we like you. We want to work with you. We'll sign up. You know, we're a client." Uh, from a service delivery standpoint, to the time of an offer coming in, is there anything that you do that's like, okay, this actually really helps us, sell listings, whether it's on the listing or helping people buy a property that we'll just say is maybe above and beyond kind of what a regular real estate agent does?
Mhm. So when I was newer, it was myself doing everything and I establish a process where, oh, okay, we're going to be clients now. You're going to be my client. Here's your next steps. Like, here's what you can expect. Here's items needed. If you're a seller, here's a proposed listing schedule with important dates, items needed. So my assistant Bree, she's my client care coordinator. So she steps in and helps with that communication. And so for all of my clients, it's about once we say, okay, we're going to work together, I want them to feel extremely important, well taken care of, and obviously have a great experience because there's this sort of sense of like a little bit of accomplishment, like, oh yes, I got them as a client, but then you actually have to do the work now, right? And so you need to remember that you have to put this work in and continue that great experience for them. And so exactly what you're talking about, like we do have that process in place where it's boom, you're a client, then these next items are executed. And then I'm extremely hands on throughout the whole process. Like, so with my buyers, it's, hey, I just saw this property listed. It looks like a good fit. Or did you see this in your account? We should go look at this. For our sellers, it's educating them about how the showing was, giving feedback, follow up, making recommendations for do we need to price reduce? Are we holding price? So it's keeping the communication tight throughout the entire process up until either we write an offer or get an offer, and then even beyond that, because it's a lifetime relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good what you said. It's like, yeah, I got a client. It's like, it's easy just to drop it, but I mean, you could argue that the service starts after they move into their house. You can go to that level,
Yeah.
but definitely at the time of them signing up, it's like you worked hard, you got the listing, or they're working with you on the buying side, and it's like you need to now start delivering value to get them to to an
Exactly.
offer, right? And you're so right, because it's like, yeah, celebrate, I got a signed listing, but it's like that's not a sale. It's still, and that's
Mhm.
not like a repeat client that you want to get to. So that's a good reminder. It's like, get going, right? You got to get going and start delivering value. All right. How about negotiating? So you've done a good job. You found them the house, or an offer came in on their house, and you're
Mhm.
negotiating a deal. Do you have any tips that have really helped you, pull deals together or negotiate better deals for your clients?
Mhm. I think the biggest thing that's helped is just remember that everyone's really on the same page. Everyone wants this offer to come together. So you're one's working for the seller, one's working for the buyer, but at the end of the day, we want a sale and we want terms and price that are agreed on. So the biggest thing for me is that conversation with the other agent, and it's understanding, like trying to understand how they operate and how their clients operate when it comes to negotiating. So one of the biggest things that has helped me is that conversation with the agent on the other side and understanding how they like to negotiate and how their buyer likes to negotiate. There's some buyers, they need that back and forth and they need it multiple times in order to feel that they had a win. And so I prepare my sellers for that. I prepare them for the potential different scenarios in the environment that we potentially could be in. I have sellers where they're, nope, I just want to cut straight to the bottom line. Okay, well, seller, this isn't the market for that. So we're going to have to go through this little bit of a song and dance. So it's all about just one, managing expectations, two, understanding how people like to negotiate. They're not going to tell you how they like to negotiate necessarily, but it's more about like picking up on cues and understanding personalities. And there's just certain type of buyers that they need to have a win. So it's okay, we're going to give you a win, but at the end of the day, we're actually winning, but it just makes it seem like it to help bring the sale together.
Yeah, it's really good. Going deeper, seeing things from their perspective, and then working to provide a great negotiating experience. Um, I think that's really good. It shows your level of understanding of people that your response to that. That's really good. That's really good, Krista. I would imagine that the negotiations that happen when you understand that at that level, that kind of we'll say understanding, negotiating, and people, and like even some people need to go back and forth many times. It's like if you know that ahead of time, is like that helps you
Hmm.
prepare them, but then prepare the other agent and understanding who's on the other side as well. I think curiosity is so important at the beginning because I think a lot of agents, they'll just email over the list or the offer
Hmm.
and they didn't even have a conversation up front. And then now they're playing kind of chasing the deal instead of proactively, here's my approach. And it's already too late by that at that point.
Another thing that helps as well, it's relationships, and that's with all the realtors in your local market. Because when you have great relationships and they know that you're good to do business with, it makes everything come together so much easier.
That's really good. All right. So you negotiate a successful sale and
Mhm.
they're closing, or we'll take it from negotiated, accepted deal to closing and then beyond. Is there anything that you do to continue to provide value, keep top of mind to be able to get repeat business and referral?
So all of our clients, they're in our database. They all get birthday cards on their birthday, Starbucks gift card. We send out a 1 year card with scratch and win tickets for our 1 year possession for our clients. Everyone's on our newsletter, so they get monthly updates. We hold also either in November or December, just depending on the date, an awesome client event. And it's a hit. And we have a ton of people that come out. So everyone looks forward to that. And then I like to connect with my clients on social media. So Instagram, and I find that an awesome way just to quickly like send messages, like their story, comment on their reels, and it just helps you to stay connected and engaged. And then it's those phone calls as well, right? Like was just thinking about you or just drove by your new house or saw that your daughter's in ballet. How was her recital? So it's those conversations where they're meaningful and it keeps you connected and it does create a great relationship. And then you're top of mind always as well.
Yeah, that's really good. Really, really good. It's like most clients forget who their agent was when they go to
Mhm.
sell down the road, and
Right.
everything that you're doing, it keeps you again top of mind. All right, Krista. So you've closed on it. You're repeating business now. Now, more on a day-to-day tactical standpoint, what regular habits or productivity, we'll say, activities that do you do on a regular daily basis that helps you create success?
So the night before, I always know what I'm going to do the day of. So I like to it just kind of settles my mind. There's not anything like no untied business, nothing unfinished. It's written down. So then I can when I get up, I know exactly what I need to take care of. Of course, it changes because when you check your inbox, there's things that come up. And so then I adjust and prioritize as needed. That's the biggest thing is having like a clear, it's not necessarily a schedule, but it's more of items to do. I try to kind of batch things out because there's certain things that take a lot of brain power, like me for numbers and CMAs or comparable market analysis. It's like I have to really dive in and be really focused. So I like to take care of those earlier in the day and get those out and taken care of so I can be accurate and provide good information to the potential clients. And then I'm always on social media as well, taking a look at that. And then there's a lot of follow up marketing, but I would say, yeah, my day is usually always CMAs. I'm always talking to sellers or running numbers for buyers. There's always follow up in there as well, and then planning out what I'm going to be doing for listings and the launches, like for social media and for filming. And then there's a lot of booking appointments and follow up with that.
That's really good. There's a lot of agents out there, Krista, and we'll say there's a lot of noise out there for clients, right? Not only in the real estate industry that's blasting them with information and marketing and a lot of ads, but other industries are trying to capture potential clients' attention on a day-to-day basis. What helps you differentiate yourself and stand out in a very crowded marketplace in your area?
I would say that, well, one is it's the for sale signs, right? Like those definitely help because you become a very familiar face. And then what I've done for where I like to farm is created a newsletter just for this specific community and a website to match it as well. And just really tried to become, I am the person, your go-to person for information on the community and real estate. And then that ties in with sometimes I do door knocking as well. And then the online presence with Instagram, like tying Instagram into that and videos, that I think the video portion and just having the online presence, that's been key.
That's really good. Yeah, I think a lot of agents think that they have to be known to everyone, but the reality is like picking, a small market segment and then just being known in that market segment is all you really need to have a massive business. Like, and to try and get everyone, that shouldn't be the goal. You're not going to win in that game there. You got to like go unless you have millions of dollars, you're going to go and blow it up and be the go-to, try to like hit everyone, but really shrinking it in and getting into maybe it's a neighborhood and you want to be the go-to, and it's like repetition of being top of mind. Social media is like your followers is like the people that are following you. You want to be top of mind there as well. Like that's a market segment. So I like how you've broken it down, and obviously in signs you'd have neighborhoods that people would see your face on more regular basis. But
Hmm.
that's really good. All right. So last question before we get into rapid fire here, Krista. This has been great. I could see that you're very we'll say the consistency side of it is what we talked about earlier, but very methodical to your approach. And I'll just say that I think that is very underrated in the real estate industry. It's like it's very easy to think that you need to be some genius to be successful. It's actually the better skill set to have is to be more methodical, systemized, and just consistent repetition, but then to bring an intensity to what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. That's what creates mastery, and that's what creates big time success. And I see you have that. So
Thank you.
real estate investing. What advice do you have for the agents? It's one of the biggest regrets that I hear from real estate agents. I wish I would have bought more real estate, and I'm a huge advocate of real estate investing. But what advice or insight would you have for the agents that are listening? Maybe that you either give to your clients or that you can give to them.
For real estate investing.
That's right.
So when you look at real estate in Greater Vancouver, and you look at the history of it, like we're in a bit of a down market right now, and there's been some pressure on price. But if you look at sort of 5-year trend, it always appreciates. So it's always about, okay, what are your long-term plans? And how you can use that to diversify and create an income, right? There's always people that need a place to live. There is right now, especially some incredible opportunity in terms of pre-sales or assignments or even people needing to get out of the market. And so if it fits within your budget and your entire sort of long-term portfolio and plans, there's awesome opportunity. And there is, if you're not looking for a flip, but it's sort of that long-term hold. And we're investors as well. So we do what we teach, right? And I think a lot of people, that's the goal, right? And that's one of the ways to be able to achieve getting income or helping to plan for retirement down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. So good. It's like it's interesting in a high market when pricing just went up by 25%, everybody's like really excited to go buy real estate. But then when pricing drops 25%, it's like, I don't really think real estate's a good investment. It's like it's for sale right now. Um,
Exactly.
like this is the time that you want to get in. When buyer sentiment is low, that's good because the amount of demand goes down, price goes down, and that's a good time to lock in. It's like a yo-yo going up an escalator, right? Real estate. So, all right. So I have three final questions here for you, Krista, and then we're going to wrap up. You ready for rapid fire?
I am.
All right. So first question, I'm a huge advocate of reading. I love reading books. Curious for you, which book has made the biggest impact in your career?
It is Relentless: From Good to Great to Unstoppable by Tim Grover.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. What was your biggest takeaway from that book? Was there some like a theme that really spoke to you that you could share?
It's mindset, and it was interesting to hear. So I identify with being a cleaner, and to actually hear what that means and the attributes and really what you need to do to go to that next level. And you could have like a different perspective. I love that. And it was all about, okay, you're here, you can do better, you can be greater, right? There's always more to achieve.
Yeah, yeah, it was a powerful book, and Michael Jordan, his whole approach, and then the training side of it as well. It's coming at it from a profession, like acting like a pro, right? That's
Exactly.
ultimately, if you're going to come into the business, if you can have like I'm going to be a pro at this, and I'm going to treat it like it's my craft. Is like when you go into it with that kind of intensity, um, that's what creates excellence in a big way. And people, when they see excellence, they're more apt to want to work with you, and just everything flows a lot easier. You're able to do more in less time. You're able to have more influence on people, and you just have more fun. Like Krista, does it not get when you get really good at something, it becomes way more fun? Is that true for you?
Because it becomes very natural, right? And so you're not always having to analyze or think about your next steps or what you're going to say. Like it's all in here, and yeah, it is fun.
Yeah, yeah, totally. This is supposed to be rapid fire. I'm reminiscing on repetition and crap. But anyways, I got to stick on program here. This is supposed to be rapid fire. So okay, so Relentless, great. Okay, favorite book. What are three words that best describe you, or that other people would describe you as in three words?
Driven, competitive, and then social.
Cool, 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 cool. All right. Final question. What final advice would you have for the real estate agents that are listening to help them take their business to the next level?
It's keep your head down, stay focused and consistent, and then just drown out that noise, regardless of what you're hearing about the market or what you see on the news, because there's always someone out there buying and selling in real estate. And then you can be the person that is the go-to person for them.
So good. Krista, what's the best way the listeners can reach out? Maybe they have a referral that they like to send you, whether it's a buyer or seller. Maybe it's an agent in your community that would love to join your team. What's the best way they can reach out?
I'd say go to my website, kristalapp.com, or you can go to Instagram. My handle's krista.lapp.
Amazing. Krista, thank you so much for coming on the show. You did great.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right on. And thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed the show, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel and share it with any other agents that you think will benefit from it. I love you guys and keep on going full out.